Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in for our pre-match build-up of Liverpool versus Leicester City. I'm joined by a very good mate and friend of the channel as well, Anthony. I've left all Ants. Oh, that's two. Two of me is bad enough. One sound, but yeah. Thank you very much, Ant, for coming on. I've left all Ant's links in the description below as well, so make sure you head over, subscribe. But Ant, thank you very much for coming on tonight, mate.
That's all right. I ain't been enjoying much about Leicester the last month or so, so I'm I'm a bit worried about this one, how this is going to go. And I probably had one of the worst days of being a Leicester fan on Sunday. So yeah, not very optimistic. But these are the kind of games where like you come up against one of the best teams in the country off the back of that, and then you sometimes get those surprise results where like nothing like that's what I'm holding on to. The fact that it's just that little bit of hope.
Yeah, well, you beat us a couple of weeks ago anyway, didn't he? Well, it seems like only yesterday anyway, at home, 1-0. So, well, there's a lot to dive into tonight, mate. But in terms of how's the feeling being around the camp of obviously Leicester? You did suffer a defeat in the cup against one of your fiercest rivals. So, as I said in the title, we'll talk about Rodgers in a bit. But what's your general consensus going into this game, mate? What's the mood in the camp?
I would say majoritively very, very pessimistic. And it's not even the fact that we lost to Forest. Like that in itself is bad enough. It's the way that we lost to Forest as well. That was like bear in mind, we're a championship team and we got absolutely bent over and lubed up. It was absolutely.
Did you have a main team out? I think I seen your lineup and there was quite a lot of your senior players.
It was pretty much our main team apart from our captain Schmeichel, which I want Danny Ward to start more games, but for an East Midlands derby, the first one in 8 years, to not start your captain, that to me just seems a very strange decision.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely mental. Shout out to everyone in chat as well. If you are enjoying tonight's stream, make sure you head over, subscribe here as well. Obviously, subscribe to Anne's channel as well, and drop a like if you are enjoying the episode as well. And if you are watching on repeat, absolute legends. But we got Jay in the comments as well, Heart of Liverpool. Make sure you head over to Jay's channel as well, doing amazing stuff. Unlucky for Sunday, Tom. Is that to me or Ant as well? Or is Tom's on cloud nine, as you can tell anyway, from an Everton point of view. But as I said, I've dropped Rodgers in the title, mate. Could this be a very perilous next couple of weeks or even week in terms of his job at the football club?
Well, I think before Sunday, I'd say it was about a 50-50 split within the fans of half were still behind him and really wanting him to succeed, and half had sort of run out of patience with him who want to go. But I'd say it's probably about a 90% want him to go. Now it would be like for you lot. Say you hadn't played Everton in like 8 years.
Yeah.
You turn up to their ground as them being a championship team and get absolutely turned over like that with absolutely no fight, nothing about it. The thing is, the amount of times, like we've had collapses before, Bournemouth, Tottenham twice, Brighton, just to name a few. And it's like that should happen once, and then you learn the lesson from there, not to keep collapsing time after time after time. Like the mentality is so far off from him, and something that's really wound me up today that's come out from the Athletic and Rob Tanner, he's bang on when he talks about Leicester. He's very much in the know. Is that in the summer he went against our scouts' wishes and against the recruitment team's wishes and players that we wanted to bring in. He brought in Vestergaard, who's been the worst centre back in the league. Bear in mind, he cost us 15 million, and for us,
that's a lot of money as well.
That's a decent fee. And then Ryan Bertrand, the club only wanted to offer him a 1-year contract until James Justin was back. We've offered him a 3-year contract. We're stuck with him. He's injured out to the end of the season. And it's like, why have we offered someone who's massively declined anyway, a 3-year contract? And then the thing is, I'd understand it to an extent if our recruitment team wasn't one of the best in the league and finding gems like Fofana, Ndidi, James Justin. The list goes on. But we've got one of the best recruitment teams in the league, and he's gone massively against that, against a recruitment model that we've had in bringing in players that are just past it. And like I know that you need that balance of experience and youth, but he's just gone completely against everything that we've built recent success on.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand it because like it reminds me so much, and I know we've talked about it even before this, of when he replaced Suarez with Ricky Lambert and Balotelli. I'm just waiting for our Yuri Tielemans replacement to be like Joe Allen or someone, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, it's very perilous, mate. And I said that when I've been speaking to you off camera as well, mate. Me and you and Connor have been speaking in terms of it's difficult to see how and where Rodgers does go, especially off the back of the match you've just mentioned there, mate, midweek against your biggest rivals and teams, and obviously it's crazy because football. Rodgers done a very good job, obviously winning the FA Cup reviews last year, didn't he? And it was tremendous in terms. And you want to really kick on in relation. I from an outside point of view, it's you haven't kicked on. Obviously, the back-to-back Champions League failures. You'd think once, you can do that, but the second year on the run, you could see that coming from a million miles away. For you, if you do suffer a heavy defeat or any defeat to the matter, how long would you give Rodgers in terms of being at the football club? Do you think there's enough credit in the bank in terms of your owners?
I think people laugh at this. We've got some of the most ruthless owners in the league. Like we saw that with Ranieri, we saw that with Puel, who was in 8th place and he got sacked. Like I think he's on very thin ice, and I think the credit in the bank is very quickly going. The fact that he's sacked Dave Rennie, the head physio, and like in terms of the medical side of things, and since the moment he's done that, our injury record has been horrendous. He neglected the strength and conditioning side of things, whilst having one of the most intense training regimes in the league. And it's like people are like, yes, we've had the freak injuries like Fofana and James Justin, but like apart from those, look at our injuries: muscle injury after muscle injury after muscle injury. That is not just a coincidence. Like if it was just a couple, you could say it's a coincidence, but in fact, it has been absolutely like so many. It's just like people are using the injuries as an excuse of where we are this season. It's like the injuries, 90% of them are self-inflicted.
Yeah, no, it's important, mate, and that says a lot of your squad as well, mate, doesn't it? You seen Liverpool from a Leicester point of view. A lot of the league did look at Liverpool last year, and Jurgen Klopp had to balance that. Even if you have to play, obviously Leicester have got historically a very good academy, and we've been speaking over the last couple of weeks to the players in which they have brought through the club, and in terms of selling on for the right price as well. In terms of the injuries, as you've alluded to there, mate, any big injury misses for the Liverpool game that gives a heads up on that?
I'm not massively sure, but each week in his press conference, he seems to come up with someone new who's got injured through training. I'm convinced at Seagrave they just throw darts at each other and hope and wonder who's going to be fit next week.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell, I'm more pissed off than I've ever been with. And the Nottingham Forest result has really wound me up.
Yeah, no, rightly so, mate. And thank you very much for coming on, mate. I really do appreciate it. It's like we've been there pre-Klopp, obviously, when we had Roy for like 7-8 months. It was frustrating. And obviously, you don't go into with Jürgen now. It's quite new to us that we go into every game expecting to win, and obviously he's changed the psychological nature of the players as well in the football club. He's got them thinking in the right direction. But is Vardy going to be fit to face Liverpool? No.
Daka and Nacho, I expect.
Yeah, your midfield, who do you reckon will be available?
Well, I think Tielemans, Ndidi, Dewsbury Hall, Maddison. I don't think Papi Mendy will be back. He's still with AFCON. So, but for me, like I know it's a controversial one. I'll drop Tielemans for this. I'll play Dewsbury Hall and Ndidi. So.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, Jade. Thank you very much for tuning in as well. My favourite Leicester fan, she said there. Spot on. Really do appreciate you dropping in, Jade. And the 1892 Reds podcast. Hope you're all well, gents. Thank you very much, mate. And obviously, Tom, you've seen there. It's obviously sorry to all banter, but if Rodgers does lose this from Tom's point of view to Liverpool, then he has to go. How's your fixture pile up looking in the next couple of weeks? Is it difficult or is it?
It's all right. It's not too bad. We've got you lot. Well, we've got actually. I say that like when I start saying it out loud, I realise it's quite horrendous actually. We've got you guys at Anfield, and I hate the expression, I really do, but that's almost a free hit as long as we don't go and get like pumped 5-0. Like I'd say if you lose fair, but lose respectfully, and actually have a proper go at it, then that's fair. Like I'd say that's sort of acceptable. West Ham at home, which end needs to game next.
There we go. Yeah.
Then I believe we've got Wolves after that, then Chelsea. Actually, like this
you said that, mate. And I'm just looking there, like, why you said that?
Yeah, so
that's bloody mad. That is a difficult run in there, mate. And I'd be surprised. As I say, you got Wolves, very good in terms of Europa League
rivalry as well.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the Europa League, mate? Do you think Rodgers should just not bin it off, but focus more on the league? Or do you think in terms of the league, it's very much gone now?
I don't know. Like, he tried to focus on the Europa League and still fucked the group for that for us, didn't he?
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just not in a positive place with it.
Yeah, like that.
But it's like people are saying, like, oh, if he wins the Conference League, it saves our season and stuff. To an extent, I agree. But what gives you the confidence? A man that's never won a European knockout tie is going to go and win the Conference League. It's like we had everything in our favour to get through that group. I know Napoli was a hugely difficult team, but like you sort of accept struggling against them because they are such a big club and all of that. But Sparta, who was it? Oh, I forget who it was. Legia Warsaw.
Yeah.
Legia Warsaw. We played them. They were 17th in the Polish league. Hadn't won for how long? I don't even know how long. We go to their place, got absolutely turned over. Then they came to the King Power, made us look pretty average. Spartak Moscow, like drawing.
And even the Napoli game as well, mate. Even when you went away, I know it's not an easy game, but I think Napoli literally had like 2 shots in the whole game and scored. Like,
Napoli at home as well.
Yeah. You were leading that game, weren't you? Yeah.
We went 2-0 up. This is what I mean. We get into good positions. It's the game management and the mentality. It's like 2-0 up, even if it was against a run of play, but we did go 2-0 up.
Yeah.
Like from that point, you've got to manage the game better, keep the ball, not just sitting deep and park the bus when they're already on top. It's the same thing as Anfield. Like when we were 3-1 up, we keep the ball. Instead, what do? We bring on the Chuckle brothers of Ryan Bertrand and Vestergaard, sit on our own box, and it's just the most predictable thing going. Same as Crystal Palace away. Genuinely, I've never known a team fuck up so many 2-goal leads. It sounds stupid. The fact that we'll have to be 3 goals up in a game before I feel confident that we're going to win it. It's like it's ridiculous.
Typical Brendan Rodgers. Yeah, typical Brendan Rodgers there, as I said. So, well, he started well at the club, and that was something that got very much labelled at him at Liverpool, mate. And I think if he does go on past post Leicester, whoever he turns up, if he does get the sack, he's a manager that somehow gets the top jobs at certain big clubs, but I think he won't get a bigger job. Well, he was linked with the United job, and fingers crossed, if he did go to the United, fantastic, because he's not an improvement in terms of any of the managers in which they've had in recent times. Obviously, in Jose, they'll never get anyone better than Jose in terms of pedigree. Obviously, he's very experienced in Europe, mate. But the fact that Rodgers continues to get linked with a lot of the top jobs is very much baffling as well. Everyone, let me know your thoughts, your score predictions in the comments as well. Any Leicester fans as well, let me know your thoughts. Zuki, how you doing, mate? Thank you very much for tuning in. You absolute legend. Rayo, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in, mate. We've had a good day. I was Leicester lose. Well, we've already been through that.
Can we not? I've already covered about this for about 2-3 minutes.
Yeah. So, Cop Talk. Hi, mate. Never got an instant reply on reply. Sorry, mate. I've been very busy, but I'll make sure after this show I will reply to it, fella. Really do appreciate you tuning in, mate. 17th in the Polish
I
league.
might just not look at these comments.
Just look away now. And how you doing, Liz? Thank you very much for tuning in. Absolute legends. Obviously, hope you had a lovely birthday as well. Rodgers is bigger in his own mind than he is a good manager. I think you're absolutely spot on there. Is in terms of defensive, mate. Obviously, Shanunchu, I'll have to pinpoint him. I've been speaking to you over the last couple of weeks, haven't I? What has happened with him in terms of the last couple of weeks or last good year, 6 months?
Last year, let's not sugarcoat it. Last year, I don't know, but I saw one of the best analogies I've ever seen to describe Shanunchu yesterday. It was something about a speedboat. Hold on, let me get it up, and when I say it, you'll realise like how bang on this actually is.
I was on TalkSport. I know what you're on.
Shanunchu is like a speedboat without a driver. And it's just so true. Like, he's absolutely rapid, but he'll be all over the place. It's and I think, like, I don't know how. I've never seen a player reach that level so quickly and then decline so quickly. It's madness. Like, when he broke through when Maguire left, he was in the team of the season for the Premier League alongside Van Dijk actually that year, wasn't he? For team of the season for centre back. But then, like, it's just been an absolute shambles of a defender for the last 18 months. And he's had a couple of good performances, so it gets masked over slightly. But just the amount of mad moments where he absolutely loses his head, it's just ridiculous. And the thing is, when he was like 22, 23, you could almost not excuse it, but you understood it that he would develop with time. But these moments are coming more and more regularly now he's got older. It's like it's insane. But
absolutely.
It's like I don't know. Apparently he wants out of Leicester in the summer as well, and there's clubs like Barca who've been linked to him.
Yeah,
off your trot, mate. If we get more than 25 million for him, I'll be happy.
Yeah, it's important. I think going forward, mate, if Rodgers does somehow still survive, in terms of past the next couple of weeks, it'd be a massive surprise. Not, I think, especially for the Leicester fans, obviously outside of Leicester from a neutral point of view, mate. There's a massive evaluation I think needed come the end of this year. If he's due somehow obviously finish, I think it's a massive ask to top four. But if it was like last year, anything like last year, it only takes a couple of results in terms of picking up the momentum and possibly trying to get in there. But it's difficult, mate, and it's very heavily reliant in terms of Jamie Vardy. I think from an outside point of view, as much as Jamie Vardy annoys me every time he plays against me, against Liverpool, he's still a very good player. He gets you goals. Obviously, Iheanacho, he's played quite well for Nigeria. And for me, when I've spoken to you, mate, off camera, he needs to be getting a lot more game time in Iheanacho for you, does he?
He does, but Iheanacho is a weird one because he's a hard player to fit in the team when we've got Vardy and Daka. But I'd love to see him get more game time. And I saw a comment there saying about Rodgers and stuff, and it's very similar. But I think what Rodgers has done in the first 2 years has been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It's his third season, and this is the third season. Like, Liverpool was the downfall in the third season.
Yeah.
I believe Celtic, I know they were doing very well, and I don't really think it's comparable. Swansea started struggling in the third season. So there's something about that third season, and it's almost like he's a shelf life manager. I don't want to compare him to Mourinho because I think Mourinho is one of the greatest managers to ever live and stuff. But Mourinho very much had that shelf life. He would get the best out of the players for that period. But when it went south, it went he didn't turn it around.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, mate. Suki, Rodgers one of the biggest bottle jobs. Well, I warned Ant before they signed him anyway.
The thing is, I think, I know we were in the top four for 2 seasons in a row, and not to get Champions League football was gutting on the last day twice. But to get us 5th twice in a row and break that top 6, he deserves credit for that. Yeah. And to win our first FA Cup, he does deserve a huge amount of credit for that. So I'm not going to be one of those who's saying, "Oh, he's absolutely useless." No, he's clearly not. But I think he's run his race at Leicester, and he's not the kind of manager who turns stuff around. And the way that you see it, like once he starts going on that slope, and his career proves that, that downward trajectory just continues.
Yeah. Spot on there, mate. I can't believe you disrespecting Rodgers' name. He has to play Daniel Amati, centre back most of the season. Well,
that's his fault for signing Vestergaard.
Yeah,
like and going against our scouts. Like,
yeah,
it's been unfortunate with the injuries in terms of Justin and Fofana, both freak injuries, but he's gone against. Jade, you said the same on the 28th, and then you didn't talk to me for a week.
Yeah, we got beat dead. So yeah,
but no, I think he's been unfortunate in terms of the Fofana and the Justin injuries, because they were freak injuries.
Is James Justin back, mate? Sorry,
he's back, but he's not back. If you know what I mean, he's sort of like he's not fully at his best yet, so it'll take time. But yeah, I feel like it's hard to have sympathy for the centre back situation when he spent like that much going against what the scouts had found and had what the scouting team had uncovered and who they had lined up when you go and get Vestergaard.
Yeah, spot on there, mate. Obviously, if you missed the top of the show as well, everyone, obviously, you can rewind it back anyway. And did discuss, obviously, in terms of the hierarchy, the football club, Rodgers going against the transfer committee's wishes in terms of signing potential players. And Rodgers, typical Rodgers, brought it upon himself to sign Vestergaard. And he's far too slow for me in Vestergaard in terms of playing in a Leicester system. For me personally, mate. It was a good one for Mitchell, as always. There, Patson Daka scored a goal every 60 minutes, but he's only had like 4 starts. What's the issue in terms of him starting, mate? Is it?
It's just Rodgers hard getting the team with Vardy. Yeah. It's like I do think Daka and Iheanacho should have more game time. I'll be honest, but at the same time, it's like it's just how do you rotate all of them into the same team? But I think Daka, particularly now Vardy's out, I think we're going to see him, and we have done, as Mitchell's comment says, we see him kick on more and more. So I'm hoping if this form does continue from Daka, that Vardy doesn't just get straight back in the team because he's Jamie Vardy. I hope he has to earn his way back in the team because we saw it with Iheanacho. The form he was on before, then Vardy comes back from fit. Vardy comes back and Iheanacho's instantly dropped. And it's a weird situation to be in because Jamie Vardy is absolutely brilliant, and like I don't think I need to go on about what Vardy offers us, but I do think it will be very harsh if Daka keeps going on in the way that he is to not keep his place.
Yeah, no, it's like, I'll tell you what, mate, especially if he did play a 2-striker formation anyway. I know that's in terms of how you play, in obviously playing the 4-2-3-1 mainly and then swapping it in and about. But it'd be intrigued, I'd be intrigued, and obviously Liz has asked a great question, and we'll get to that in a little second. Get your questions in as well, chat. Obviously answers. Try and obviously, as always, I'll answer them as honest. Obviously, really do appreciate him taking the time out because obviously it's been a mad season for Leicester, and obviously last the midweek the results as well. So, but Daka and Vardy, I think if you played them in the diamond possibly and played Maddison in behind possibly or Harvey Barnes, has he tinkered with that diamond at Leicester?
Has, but it's one of those. I'd say Iheanacho has to play alongside either Vardy or Daka because he brings that hold-up play, being such an underrated feature in playing a 2-striker formation. But Iheanacho can bring the ball down, play with his back to goal, bring other people into the game more. And I'm not comparing them as players, but you see it with Firmino, his ability sort of to drop that bit deeper and then play the balls to your other attacking players. Iheanacho's got that he can do that a lot more, which I think you need to have if you're going to play a 2-striker formation, because then you lose that width and that creativity from out wide.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Everyone get your score predictions in for the Leicester game anyway. Who do you think the score? Who do you reckon to start as well? Get your starting 11 in. Obviously, and did mention the attackers and midfielders, but the back end of the show, we'll get a quick 1 to 11 in terms of a Leicester point of view as well. How you doing, John? Thank you very much for tuning in, mate, and every single one of you. Hope you're having a cracking day. If you haven't already done so, don't mind dropping a like on the video. It really does help the channel grow as well. The absolute legends. Obviously, just saying. But it's been difficult, and we'll get to Liz's great question. What do you think solves Leicester's problems in terms of what you've been currently having?
It's not just one of those, but it's
a lot of factors in there.
Yeah, it's not just like a quick fix sort of thing.
Yeah.
I do think Rodgers needs to go. Just like the mentality of the club stinks. I'm like it really does. It's like I know footballers have private lives and stuff, but for there to be like players going out on the piss the same night, but we've lost 4-1 to Forest, and like them slapping it all over like social medias and all of that. It's like read the room. You know the fan base is absolutely fuming and hurting from that. It's like even if you are going to go out, don't plaster it over social media to upset, because that's always going to upset fans. Like,
you're spot on there, mate. And I'll just add to that as well. Obviously, we spoke, I think it was like 6 months ago or 8 months when obviously one of the lockdowns was happening. Obviously, it had like Chowdhury and it was 1 or 2.
Chowdhury again this time as well.
Yeah, and obviously, but that stems from leadership, doesn't it, mate? From in terms of having a strong individual in terms of running your football club, whether that's like a director of football at the club and or obviously your main manager. Obviously, the fact that Rodgers is somehow allowing this to go happen yet again in terms of really, do you think Rodgers very much needs to put his foot down a bit more in terms of just letting players run all over him?
I think he's tried it, but you know when it almost feels like it's too little, too late.
Yeah,
I don't know if you. I think the thing is, the first time it happened, it was stupid. But you think fair, like it is what it is. People make mistakes and all of that, and there's nothing wrong with the fact that they went out. It's the fact that they plastered it all over social media when, like, they knew that the fan base, like,
would get a reaction,
were hurting and that. And I think particularly Danny Ward, it was a strange one from him as well, because he's not normally one that's involved with that kind of stuff. James Justin as well, wouldn't really be expecting it from him. But I don't know, it's just a weird one. And that's only like, it is what it is. But there's so much to get into. Brendan Rodgers' mentality is piss poor. The amount of times that we can see, we go 2-0 up or 2 goals up, and then we'll still end up drawing or losing the game. The defensive structures, absolute shambles. Can't defend set pieces. Players don't really seem that arsed. So the thing is, I wouldn't mind if we were losing games week in, week out. Well, I would mind, but I wouldn't be as frustrated as it was if it seemed like the players were actually putting a shift in. It's when it's like when we were absolutely crap. You sort of accepted it, but like you can accept it when you saw players putting an absolute shift in and we were just getting beaten by better teams. But it's like when you see players not tracking back, players not working hard.
That's the bare minimum, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you're spot on there, mate. And that seemed to be a reoccurring thing, not with just Leicester, but obviously you can pinpoint that at Arsenal and Manchester United. But as I said, that stems from having a strong leadership at the top of the club or the manager and even getting that right balance, as you said there, mate. But spot on there, Liz. Hopefully that answers the question. I really appreciate that question, Liz. Cracking one. And then she's going with a 4-1 to LFC. Sorry. If it hasn't been discussed already, would Ant wants cracking comment, mate, as always. Graham Potter, he's the only manager I'd swap Rodgers for a long-term project.
I think Graham Potter's a brilliant manager, but the problem is, will he see it as a big enough upgrade from Brighton? Because that's the big thing. For me, I would love someone like Gasperini to come in, like from Atalanta, because he's always said about wanting to manage in the Premier League. The thing that I fear the most is Rodgers being here for the rebuild that's going to happen in the summer. We've already seen how much, if he goes against the recruitment team's wishes and stuff, I don't want him to be anywhere near this rebuild in the summer, if I'm honest.
Yeah, like the fact that he just wax a load of money on loads of even Vestergaard, as you've alluded to there, mate. And obviously, Yuri Tillemans, there will be obviously. Is it a current situation in terms of finance, in terms of the running of the club, mate? Obviously, a lot of teams were hit in terms of COVID, but Leicester have very much been struggling in terms of financials, haven't they? Any potential, like obviously, even one big player, whether that be Tillemans, obviously, he has got not a long time in terms of contract, but do you foresee past this season any big departures in terms of that case?
I think Yuri will go, but I don't think anyone else will go. But it's hard to say this early on before the window. But Yuri's almost guaranteed because of his contract situation. But I don't know, because I don't think we're financially we're struggling that much, but it's just about getting through to the summer because you didn't want to spend in January because of the profile of players and stuff like that. Because it was like Phil Jones was available, but we didn't want to pay. I know you laugh, but like
he's still he's probably the best centre half at Man United this week.
It's like Nat Phillips as well. We didn't go after him even though he was available because he's not the right profile of what we want. So the fact that we're identifying the profile of what we want, and apparently that's another young, dynamic ball-playing centre-back, if reports are to be believed, and like it's very similar to what we got with Fofana, where we feel like we can get him in, very raw player that can kick on to that next level. That excites me massively for the summer. We're going back to what sort of worked for us with that profile. But I fear to God if Rodgers is here.
Yeah, spot on. John's gone with a 5-1 to Liverpool. Evening, Gary. How you doing, mate? Thank you very much for tuning in as well. Even he's saying Rodgers is out on the way out anyway. Scouser, we need to dispatch of Leicester. They are on a low and we are on a high. No excuses to be comfortable in. However, it's not lost on me. Their last win against us and Salah missed that. Obviously, the penalty as well. Cheers, Scouser. Thank you very much for tuning in, mate. Match predictions. Rodgers starts a heated argument with Klopp, and Klopp smiles, laughs at him. I think Rodgers, he's got enough battles going on behind closed doors, Liz, by obviously what Anne's already mentioned there, but I think he hasn't even got the bottle to even do that on the touchline. That's the last battle he wants to start, really, arguments. John, could Rodgers get the sack if Liverpool beat them a big scoreline, but not sure he'd be asked. Sorry, if it's already been asked. Cheers, that John. Anyway, just a quick one on that, mate. Do you foresee it?
No, losing at Anfield doesn't define our season. It's like the games that define our season are the teams around us. And the thing is, I think Forest was a big sort of indication of the way that we'll go. Not just the fact it's Forest, it's the fact of how that was our first FA Cup. You want to try and defend it with pride and go as far into it as you can the next year. We whimpered out to a championship team who happened to be our biggest rivals.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, mate. Moon as well. Keep on getting your comments in, chat as well. You absolute legends. Yuri Tillemans reminds me of Wijnaldum last season, threw in the towel and played size all season. Is that been the case?
I wouldn't say Tielemans has thrown in the towel. He's one of the few players that I'd still say has been very professional and really putting a shift in. Sunday was a stinker by him, but I wouldn't define his whole season as throwing in the towel at all. But it's one of those. It's like he's going, and like when clubs like Juventus, PSG, Real Madrid, obviously yourself, are hovering around, it will be hard for him to keep focused. But he doesn't seem like he's throwing the towel in. So I don't know. I think that's a bit of an unfair statement from my personal opinion. But I think as well, when he set the level that high for him in previous seasons, the standard has dropped. But I wouldn't say that's through a lack of effort from him.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, mate. Cheers that Moon as well. Absolute legends as well. But that's the thing. Rodgers, we've seen it when in his time at Liverpool, and that's what the top elite level managers, the best managers in football, you get the best out of every single player. And obviously, as you mentioned there, mate, he scored the FA Cup winning goal last year. What a goal that was in the final. But in terms of Rodgers, as you've already alluded to, mate, tonight, he doesn't quite. I think if Rodgers, would you say, and in terms of Rodgers, not a lot of Leicester fans would have an issue in terms of if Rodgers was, as he said there, then he's not getting the best out of players. But in terms of, has he developed any of these Leicester players, really elevated them in terms of?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's one thing I will not like say have a bad word said about
yeah,
him. Like the way he's improved players. Look at Luke Thomas. Look at Dewsbury Hall. Look at Ndidi. Vardy's even improved. Like I know he was aging. Vardy's improved as a striker. Harvey Barnes has kicked on massively. Even Lookman this season. So his progression of players, I think that is one thing that you can't fault. But
yeah. Absolutely spot on there, Majoch. I really do appreciate you tuning in, fella. Hope you're having a great day. Absolute legends. It is potentially, mate. Forest was a tough loss. I think we'll have to play hard to defeat Leicester Thursday. Yeah.
It could almost be, though, like, you know how last time we lost to you on the 22nd, and that was the 23rd, whenever it was,
Yeah.
and then played you on the 28th? I think it's either going to go one of two ways. We're going to have that siege mentality where we had against you, where we proper got stuck into you, made it a horrible game, or we're going to bend over. We need a response, and it's just interesting to see what that response will be.
Yeah, no respect to Leicester City, but we're going to beat them badly because the players are not happy for Rodgers. Obviously, the press conference as well, and we'll get to John's comments as well just before we do shoot off. What do you guys make of Zuma starting for West Ham tonight? Personally, he should have been sacked or at least dropped till the end of the season. For me, my point of view, mate, it's absolutely disgraceful. But if it's West Ham's point of view, I think from the football club, they're going for top four. It's absolutely shocking what he done. If West Ham had quite a lot of quality centre halves, but that shouldn't even be the issue. It shouldn't be a case. Obviously, there's no room for any abuse in terms of animals or people as well. It's disgusting, mate. From my point of view, it's even if it was a Liverpool player as well, there should be at least a very harsh punishment or an investigation into why he's doing this, especially obviously the fact that he knew he was getting filmed as well. But horrible, mate, and I'm pretty sure Ant was very much echoed the words as well. It's disgraceful. But we'll move on from that, mate, because I don't really want to give him the time of day, really, in terms of that. But obviously, West Ham hopefully do the right thing in the next couple of hours in terms of, obviously, after the game. I don't know if they've released a statement on that, but Zuma very much does need investigating, or that cat or animals taken away from him, because quite clearly he can't care in the right way for anyone in terms of that matter. But Majoch, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. And just shout out your socials, mate. And socials are in the description. But any shows coming up this season or this week, most importantly, mate?
Yeah, so I've got going to the game at Anfield on Thursday, so there'll be a match day vlog from that. There'll be a preview tomorrow. So just home and away match day vlogs, previews, and all that good stuff. Trying to keep it as positive as I can at the moment, but if I'm honest, I haven't been that angry up until Sunday, and now I'm just fuming.
No, well, thank you very much for coming on, mate. Especially, obviously, really do appreciate it, mate. I will be on with you tomorrow night, won't I? So I'll be making sure to tweet and make sure to drop in Ant's video tomorrow. I'm pretty sure a lot of you will. Absolute legends. But yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Obviously, it's disappointing, especially when your team are going through, even Liverpool being through hard times, and it's frustrating. But that's what I love, mate. I love about you tonight. It's sheer passion, and you can. I think everyone in the comments and everyone watching can very much sense that. But absolutely spot on, mate. Make sure you do head over to Ant's channel as well. Subscribe. Get involved in his vlogs are absolutely fantastic, so keep an eye on his channel for that. Fair play to Jack. Well, yeah, it's crazy, mate. It's absolutely disgusting. See you soon, obviously, Ants as well. But Reds and obviously any Leicester fans as well, let me know your thoughts. He's starting 11, predict the show as well. For any Leicester fans or Liverpool fans, get in the comments as well. But most importantly, thank you to every single one of you that are watching live. And obviously, if you are watching this on the repeat, really do appreciate it. But Ant, thank you very much for coming on, mate. And I'll be speaking to you tomorrow. But everyone, have a lovely rest of your night. And I'll see you again tomorrow. You never walk alone. Cheers, Ant.